Hey, you want to earn $10,000 in your spare time? Then become a sturgeon farmer with sturgeon in a box. Normally it takes up to 5 years to harvest that first batch of eggs, but with our patented use of steroids and chemicals too secret to name here, you'll be off and running in 5 weeks. Yes, 5 weeks. Soon you'll be harvesting your own caviar and living like a kingfish. Sturgeon in a Box gives you everything you need to know to harvest your own caviar. Everybody knows caviar is one of the world's most expensive foods. Now you can earn up to $150 an ounce. An ounce! For just $19.95, we'll send you your first sturgeon plus 2 weeks of food just to get you started. And if you act now, we'll send you your very own starter fish farm at no extra cost, plus the indispensable book, Sturgeon for Profit and for Fun. Mabel is one happy Sturgeon in a Box customer. Right, Mabel?
I can't believe my fish was worth so much money.
And if your fish dies before its time, just remember, it still sells for $16.99 a pound. That's $16.99 a pound for dead fish.
So act now. Call 1-800-GO-FISHY to get this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Operators somewhere in Asia are standing by to take your call.
Hey, I'm David Rosengarten. I did the very first show on the Food Network, and then 2,500 after that. But that was then, and this is now. Come join me on my culinary adventures from my home in New York to other exotic and not so exotic locales for Dave in the Life. See ya. Okay, in my kitchen, and I'm working on a recipe with my colleague Claire, and this is a recipe that I had already developed, but I just found out something new about it. The recipe is basically something that I had at a tapas bar in Sevilla last spring, where I found that they all have the same dish. Maybe you can see this, Keith. It's called cazón en adobo. And adobo is such a weird word. It means different things all over the world. But anyway, for them, this is basically a fried fish dish that is marinated first rather heavily in Middle Eastern spices. So it obviously, came over way back when the Moors were in Spain. And the fish that they use is always a very heavy textured fish. In fact, it's always the same fish. They use shark, which is called cazón. I liked it a lot. I thought it might be even better with swordfish here in the US, so I made it a couple of days ago with swordfish, and it was great. Now, I thought this recipe was a done deal, and this recipe says that you put the fish in this Middle Eastern marinade for 4 to 8 hours in the refrigerator. But I did a dinner party about 3 or 4 days ago, and I had some of the swordfish left over, and 2 days ago, I tried it again. Marinated now a couple of days. Oh, and it was better. I mean, I was worried it was going to be too strong, but it was better. It was delicious.
In the marinade?
The marinade is a combination of white wine vinegar, olive oil, mashed garlic, ground cumin, and to make this really good, I roasted cumin seeds and ground them on the spot, sweet paprika, dried oregano, and black pepper. So now we're looking at, here it is, now we're looking at this swordfish marinating for, 4 or 5 days. And Claire, you and I are going to cook it up. I see my oil is just about ready. One of the cool things about tapas bars in Spain, when they fry stuff, you know what they fry it in? They fry it in extra virgin olive oil. Not like the world's greatest extra virgin olive oil, but, good extra virgin olive oil. And it really makes a difference. It's not so much that you get the extra virgin olive oil taste, but you get a kind of velvety elegance in the food when you do that. That's almost there. I want to do about 375, 380. Let's bread up a couple of these bad boys. There's the fish. Let's do 3. Goes right into the flour like that. It's a very simple coating. I tried it with several different things, but the chefs told me there that they really like flour just the best. But I came up with my own little tweak on it because I wanted a little bit more coating on it. So what I do is I pick up the floured piece of fish, and with this hand I dip it in water like this, and then I sprinkle it over the fish. Not enough to knock off the flour, but just enough for it to pick up some more flour. And then I go back in the flour with the fish, and now I feel like this doubled coating on here. One thing you never want to do is fry at a too low temperature. If you fry below 325, you're going to end up with very greasy stuff. But if you fry anywhere from like 325 to 380, 390, something like that, it's going to be good. I'm looking for tongs. There they are. This will take just like a minute or two. Good tool to have, deep fry thermometer. Have you got one at home?
I don't.
I bet you don't fry a lot.
No, I don't.
Do you have fear of frying?
No.
No? Okay.
I just have something I usually take on at home. But this is a very practical way to do it.
It's very easy, really.
Small little saucepan pot.
Absolutely. And you are very representative. I mean, a lot of people, even foodie people like you are, don't usually want to be bothered frying at home, but it's really very easy. Of course, if I take it out too early, it's going to be just a little bit underdone in the center, which actually, can you deal with underdone swordfish?
Yep.
You know, it's a funny thing about swordfish. Do you ever see it at a sushi bar? Never. Because Japanese chefs know, now I'm going to freak you out, but Japanese chefs know that swordfish is a likely candidate for parasites, so they don't serve it raw, usually.
And you're sure you want to do this 4 days old?
Little worms that get into your system and never go away. All right, it might be slightly underdone, but I'm brave. Here we go, over to the paper. Give it a little sprinkle of salt. Always good to salt fry food as soon as it comes out. To toss it a little bit. Goalie reflexes. Okay. Of course, Clara, I want you to have that really nice and golden one. It's probably going to be a little bit too hot, but...
Really nice cumin sense.
Absolutely.
Really great.
Excellent.
So juicy.
It really is. It's juicy and crispy and not oily. It's not greasy.
No.
And now, so here's the big question. 4 or 5 days later, do you think the marinade is too much?
No.
I don't think so either. I'm there. Wow.
Right?
That's how juicy it is. See ya.
You're having a lot of fun. You're doing all kinds of crazy fun things.
Yeah, I'm basically a big kid. A big kid likes shiny objects.
What, was that a skateboarding accident or?
It's a very British accent actually. It was a cricket match.
I think it's very fair to say that your cuisine is one of the most creative cuisines out there. So any process or ingredients that is exciting you right now that you'd like to share with us?
We are working with some great technology, but it's in I would say it still needs more development. It doesn't matter how gastronomic something a restaurant is, it should be fun.
Right.
So I was thinking, okay, well, what's the best chance of me getting to have the diner to have fun? Right, what state of mind could there be in excitement? If I can get them excited before they arrive, as opposed to walking in, nose in the air, they think they're special, don't they? And what's all this nonsense about? That's not what I want people to come in feeling. Well, our problem is our telephone's a nightmare. 2 months to book a waiting list. It's not accessible. I looked at using a metaphor to generate excitement. And that metaphor is quite a universal metaphor for excitement. It's a kid in a sweet shop.
Right.
Because I found myself kept on saying to people, when I did this, I felt like a kid in a sweet shop. So, looking at generating the metaphor of a kid in a sweet shop, we have worked with a perfumier that was in the presentation,
Yes.
Christoph. We have the smell of the sweet shop. And it's got slight licorice notes, citrus notes, caramel, slight woody notes from the shells. It's fantastic. The idea is you make your reservation, you get access to a website which is a virtual sweet shop.
Okay.
It's recorded in binaural sound, which is like a 3D sound recording.
Okay.
There's something actually, you go onto YouTube and look for the virtual barbershop. You have to have headphones and it has to be binaural. Listen to it and you have your hair cut by someone. It's fantastic. So the idea is this virtual sweet shop. It's more emotive than seeing an animation or a visual of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the noise of the ding-a-ling-a-ling of the doorbell and the rustle of the paper bag and the jar, the lid of the jar coming off the jar of sweets being poured into the scales.
Right.
And you have the smell, and there'll be triggers in there. So it could be a random trigger, like a pigeon flying across or something.
Right, right.
So you have the interaction with this. Then we actually rub the smell on the door frame of the fat duck. So when you arrive to the fat duck, it triggers that memory.
That memory.
Again. Door's shut, you sit in, order your food, you have your meal, and maybe you have pigeon flamencos. And maybe you go to the toilet and see something on a shelf that you've heard in the shop, and maybe you don't notice. And maybe somebody else says, go and have a look in this, that sort of feeling.
Right.
And then when you've finished your dinner, you end up with a paper bag that you've heard in the sweet shop with the sweets that are in that bag, and you're given that to take away. So it's a massive project.
They're actually going to see or experience this as part of the confirmation process of
yes.
their visit?
So the idea, if you have to book a month or 2 months in advance, I thought, well, why don't you start? If you're not excited and it's a business meeting and you can't be bothered, fair enough.
Right.
But for those who they've made the booking and they're really excited, why not actually give them the ability to get even more excited?
Right.
So the idea that your experience is not from, say, 7 o'clock when you arrive till midnight when you leave. Your experience actually can start 2 months before.
Well, anticipation is the greater part of pleasure, is it not?
I think that childhood feeling and memory of going on an airplane for waiting to go on holiday, waiting for Christmas, waiting for your birthday, all those sorts of things. It's actually the anticipation, more often than not, is the best bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm Philippe Nolan with Devour TV's Top 50 Dishes New York City, and today we're on the Lower East Side at WD50, where we're going to try out Chef Wiley Dufresne's pork belly with braised pineapple. Oh yeah, come on.
Wiley Dufresne from WD50 here with pork belly, pineapples, capers, sunchokes. There it is. Right there. Knowing that Philippe's a little off, I'm sure he'll find this to be delicious. All right, Philippe. I don't think you're going to dig this a bit.
Oh, wow. Okay, so wait, there's a lot on this plate. Can you break it down for me again?
Certainly. We've got our pork belly.
Yeah.
And then it's sitting on top of a caper emulsion. It's simply a puree of capers and a poached egg with a little bit of grapeseed oil.
Okay.
Over here we have some pineapple, some ancho braised pineapple with a little bit of ancho caramel and some fried capers.
Right.
Some sunchokes and then some chive blossoms on top. A little bit of pork sauce, pork jus around. It's a group effort here at WD50, and we had started trying to conceive a new garnish for the pork dish, and we were tossing around the pairing of pineapple and capers and really liked that salty sweet interplay, and so then we brought in the ancho caramel to give it a little heat so it was salty and sweet and spicy, and then it was at that point that we realized that we were certainly heading towards the Hawaiian pizza territory.
I have to ask you about the belly because this is so beautiful, like the striations on this, it looks like big thick slab bacon.
We cook it slowly, 155 degrees for 24 hours, and then we press it to cool so it stays nice and compact.
Right.
And then we portion it into big rectangles, and then they just get roasted on the skin side, and then spend a few minutes in the oven just to warm it through, and then we slice it up.
This little stack, these are sunchoke.
Those are just pieces of sunchoke that were again sliced and then poached at about 90 degrees in a bag, sous vide as well.
Okay.
For a little while. We saute them in a little bit of fresh butter, crisp them up, take them out of the pan, and then we throw those chive blossoms in there, hit it with a splash of water, create some steam, and just sort of wilt them a little bit. You should get on in there.
Give it a try?
Yeah, definitely.
Man, if you like your bacon thin, this is not the place to come to. Here we go. The whole shebang.
Yeah, not bad, right?
It's beautiful.
There's a little bit of that crunch, a little bit of that fresh vegetal note, but it's not too pungent, and not too much raw onion flavor.
Not at all.
It's been softened by a little bit of steam.
Yeah, it's more textural than anything else. You know, you have this sort of bouncy, yummy bacon, and then, pork belly, thickly cut, and then a little bit of the snap, a little bit of the crunch.
Yeah, a little bit of crunch.
When you've got this crazy sweetness of the pineapple.
We make a caramel, and then we deglaze it with some water, and then we throw the anchovies in there, just sort of braise in there, and then we just blitz the whole thing up, blend it up. And then we take some of that caramel, that braising liquid, after the pineapple's been poached in it, and we set it with a little bit of agar into a gel, and then we puree it, so it's got that almost toothpaste-like consistency that we can make those dots with. I mean, you have to be careful using toothpaste as a descriptor, because I don't think that toothpaste equals deliciousness.
I have to ask you, I mean, the way it's presented is so interesting with the different parts sort of surrounding the pork belly. Not only is this delicious, but this is kind of, you know, beautiful.
Well, again, that's most of the sell, right, is how it looks, you know. Most people make their decision right then and there.
Chef, you know, I'm an easy sell when it comes to pork belly because I just love this stuff. All the elements that come into balance on this Hawaiian pizza dish thing. Clearly one of the top 50 dishes in New York City. Well, Chef Dufresne.
Thank you very much.
Whoa! And you got it! You got it! All right, free dessert, free dessert.
How to poach pears. Sugar, clove, ginger, fresh or dried, nutmeg, cinnamon, pears, red wine. First pour your wine into a tall pot and then add everything but the pears. You want the wine warm enough to dissolve all the sugar. Now peel your pears and place them in the pot. If your pears aren't floating, make sure to add more wine and sugar so that they're totally covered. Then keep the temperature at 180 degrees and let them start cooking. At this point, you want to add a cartouche, or a little liquid tight paper lid. Fold a square of parchment paper into smaller and smaller triangles, then size it over your pot. Cut it out just like a round grade school snowflake. Snip the tip and unfold, and you've got a perfectly sized cover that keeps the pears evenly covered with a poaching liquid. After 45 minutes, use a paring knife to check for doneness. They should be totally tender. At this point, take a little bit of the poaching liquid and reduce it to a syrup. Depending on how much sugar you use, the pears can be used for sweet or savory dishes. They pair well with cheese, foie gras, crisps, puddings, totally up to you.
Oh, hi. Come to observe me in my natural habitat? Well, it happens to be perfect for today's cocktail, which is named after my favorite place in the world to be. Between the sheets.
Sheets are easy to get in between, and with this little doozy, you'll be sure to get someone else in there with you. You'll need 3/4 of an ounce of white rum, 3/4 of an ounce of brandy, 3/4 of an ounce of Cointreau, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, ice, a shaker, and a cocktail glass. You know the drill. Pour in your ingredients and shake your money maker. Strain into your glass and get ready to hit the sheets.
Whoa. I usually only use this to get someone into bed. But you know me. The wetter the better.